Okay, testing 1, 2, testing. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo sadanto suchedoye lahadi samyao sanputoshe. Sadanto suchedoye lahadi samyao sanputoshe. 无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even through billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. 好的，师父上人，各位师兄，大家阿弥陀佛。Venerable Master, Dhamma friends, welcome to the second night of our Guanyin Bodhisattva Universal Doorway Chapter Lecture Series. Appreciate all the kind hands helping us translate into Chinese, giving it the lecture to folks' ears right here in our Buddha Hall here in the Gold Coast, and also all the hard work broadcasting our lecture out to the world. We respectfully acknowledge the Kumbumeri people of the Ugambe language region as traditional storytellers and custodians of the land where our monastery is located. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. All right. 就是说我们恭敬地承认有冈贝语族的贡隆玛丽人是我们寺院所在地的传统叙事者和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长老们、长者们致敬，并且上所未曾违背放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。All right, we're going to drop the bell song from now on, just to save time. We're only lecturing for an hour, so I need to save a lot of time here. We're going right to our sutra, and let's see, before we do that, say where we are. I think most of us were here last night. Some of us heard that there was some exciting lectures happening, and you decided you couldn't miss it, so you showed up. Good, glad you're here. This is a week-long Guanyin Bodhisattva session, and so I'm using an hour each night after everybody else has done the hard work all day, getting up very early and reciting Guanyin's name and the sutra and the mantra and the repentance. All of the dharmas around Guanyin Bodhisattva have been done all day. So I get to come in and just kind of, let's see, can we get the Buddha's head there? Yep, look at that. And there's the Bodhisattva head, but I'm cut off halfway. We could keep going. How about that? That's pretty nice. There we go. All right, let me get a compromise. It's not so nice to cut the Bodhisattva off, right? You get two of me anyway. I'm on the screen back there. See me? Infinite monk. Go back and back and back. So I'll just give you the Bodhi. Then you can, if you're cut off here, you can see me there. All right. So. We are looking at the Pumanpin. I get to come in and just do an hour of conversation, talk to you. That's what we're doing, is we're talking about Guanyin. And many people don't know anything about Buddhism, but they know about Guanyin. There is a long line of people who, because they might be members of the Communist Party, and they officially have to be Wushanlun, atheists, but they still carry beads in their pockets. And when time gets difficult, they look at grandma, and grandma's a Buddhist, and her grandmother was Buddhist. And when the time comes, they really know about Guanyin. There are many, many stories about leaders of other political parties, Kuomintang, Gongchandang, Minjindang, etc., all of whom pay attention to Guanyin Bodhisattva. So This is not only among Chinese people, but also when you look at Catholic people who are not Buddhist at all, they have the Blessed Virgin, the Holy Blessed Virgin, Mother Mary, who looks very much like Guanyin Bodhisattva. So if we want to know more about Guanyin Bodhisattva, where do we go? We go to the Dharma Flower Sutra, the Fa Hua Jing, and chapter 25 of the Dharma Flower Sutra, because that's where we get the true story, the fullest account of Guanyin Bodhisattva. So, let's do it. What do you say? Let's go there. Here it is. I happen to have one right here on my computer. So, here it is. Miao Fa Lian Hua Jing. So, let's begin here. Okay. I would like to invite everybody to join me and say, can we do this right here? There, nice and big. Okay, please put your palms together. Qingge He Zhang. Yes. I'm not sharing my screen. Share your screen. There we go. Good, thanks. Okay, palms together. Qingge He Zhang. 我说一句，大家跟着说一句。南无本师释迦牟尼佛。南无本师释迦牟尼佛。Homage to founding teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha. Excellent, well done. Okay. Now, how about, let's do this. We'll start with Namo and then Miao Fa. Ready? Let's see here. No, that's not going to work. Was it up here? Let's see. What I want people to say is, it's not there. I'll just have you repeat after me. So we'll scroll down. Sorry about this. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, here we go. Just to avoid confusing you, I'll say a line, you say it back to me. Ready? Namo Miao Fa Lian Hua Jing. Fa Hua Hui Shang Fo Pu Sa. Namo Miao Fa Lian Hua Jing. Fa Hua Hui Shang Fo Pu Sa. Homage to the Wondrous Dharma, Lotus Flower Sutra, and the Dharma Flower Assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Okay, everybody listening carefully. I'm really going to confuse you. Ready? Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. 不必了。OK， 好的，没关系的，来。Okay, so we got this far yesterday. We got right there. We're going to continue. You ready? Let's see here. Nice and big. We'll go down to just right there. We'll do the fire. Right there. Okay, ready? This much. I'll give you a line. You give it to me. 若有持世观世音菩萨名者，摄入大火，火不能烧。有是菩萨，委身力故。Ready? If those who hold the name of Guan Shiyin Bodhisattva should fall into a great fire, the fire will not burn them because of Guan Shiyin Bodhisattva's awesome spiritual power. Okay, there we go. Now, true story. One of our Dharma brothers at City of 10,000 Buddhas, We have our translators ready to go. Okay, here we go. A monk called Heng Yi Shi, he's don't know where Heng Yi Shi is right now. He had an apartment in Taipei. His whole family lived there. It was one of those city apartments with like 3 floors. There's ground floor. I think they might have done car repairs or motorcycle sales, something. And then there was a residence on the 2nd floor, and they had a Buddha hall up on the 3rd floor and a bedroom up there. So what happened, they kept their Buddhist sutras, the CTTB sutras, in a glass bookcase. We don't have one in the Buddha hall like that, but there's over in the library. In like a Tripitaka case. They had their sutras there, and they had Buddha images there, and the whole family was Buddhist, and in fact the son could leave home, so he was a monk. And so this bookcase was kind of in the center, and the downstairs circled around it, and they were good Buddhists. They recited the sutras, read the sutras, and they had their incense and their beads and Buddha images also in that bookcase. So guess what happened? One night, somebody wasn't careful they had plugged in too many plugs into the outlet, and a fire started. And the fire burned down below, and it burned the 2nd floor, and it burned the 3rd floor. Nobody was hurt. Everybody was away when it happened. And they came back, and the entire building was ashes, except the bookcase, which was right in the middle of the room, and the glass wasn't even broken. The entire bookcase was preserved, and everything around it was ashes. And it was such a remarkable thing that it made the newspaper. Photos of that got sent around to the newspaper, and they said, wow, if you believe in Guanyin Bodhisattva and the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, ho bu neng shao, the fire doesn't burn. I saw those, and Heng Yi Shi showed us the photos. Okay, true story. Ready? Here we go. 若为大水所漂，乘其名号，记得浅处。If they are being tossed about in deep and treacherous waters, and call his name, they will quickly reach the shallows. Okay, now last night I talked about our Vietnamese community in Berkeley, in the city of 10,000 Buddhas. We have a large Vietnamese American Buddhist community. They were Buddhists in Vietnam. They brought their religion and their monks and nuns over to America, to Australia, to Texas, to France, a lot of places. And many stories emerged about the process of escaping Vietnam when the communists and North Vietnam and the Viet Cong won the war. So if we don't have Guo Ji and Guo Kuk here to tell you themselves, if our dear friends Guo Ji and Guo Kuk were here, Guo Ji, Guo Ju, Tama, they would tell you stories about on the boat, what it was like to be on a boat escaping Vietnam, a boat that if the floor was the ocean, the surface of the ocean, this was the gunwale, this was the edge of the ship. The water, the slightest wave would capsize the boat. They had twice the number of safe people in the boat. The boat was suited for 100, they had 200 people. And there were pirates. There really were pirates, many of them from Malaysia, who would come out and, not all, some from Indonesia, So, and they would try to they would jump on the boat, and of course people take their valuables with them. They stuff their jewelry and grandmother's beads and grandmother's pearls into their pockets and get on the boat. And Guoji tells stories about he down, and of course everybody gets seasick, and if anybody is actually sick and has to needs medicine, they're in real trouble because there's just no help. You're out on the deck, cramped in like this with people to either side, and you don't know if you're going to get to safety. You don't know if there's going to be a storm. You don't know if there's going to be pirates. You don't know if when you get to the place you're going, the Navy or the Coast Guard of that company will come out and push your boat back into the ocean and not let you get off. Just a lot of suffering. So Guoji and Guoju were both reciting the Guanyin Bodhisattva's name, Namo Guanteum Bota Choku Jonan, reciting and reciting. And like I said last night, if one person is faithful and keeps reciting, their calmness, their serenity is infectious. Pretty soon, other people who would be panicking kind of go, maybe I'll try it. Namo Shama. How do you say it? Namo what? Namo Guan. Yeah, Guan. Where's the Buddha's feet? I want to grab my Buddha's feet. Namo Guanteum Bota. So people learn to do it in emergencies. They do. And there's a lot of sincerity. So Guoji and Guoju talk about seeing pirates coming as they were on their way to a United Nations refugee camp in the Philippines. And here come the pirates, and they were reciting and saying, Guanyin Bodhisattva, hide our ship. Don't let them see us. Namo Guanteum. And the pirates went right on by and didn't stop the boat. And they all just went, And they arrived safely in the Philippines, were taken in to the refugee camp, and they're all in the refugee camp, things happen. They basically, what the Filipinos did was say, okay, here's an empty island, you go there. And just dumped them in the island. Said, oh, you need a saw to cut down the tree to build a house? Here's a saw. Right? Start with a saw, and then build a house? Okay, saw the tree, make a log, build a roof, They had nothing but tools. And they did. Within 3 weeks, a month, they had shelters, they had toilets, sanitation, they had food, So they survived by reciting Guanyin Bodhisattva's name. So that's a true story. And there are many stories of boats that left the ports of Vietnam, and there was not one person on board who recited Guanyin. Nothing was heard from those boats again. So it only takes one person to be faithful and recite Namo Guan Shi Yin Pusa, and everybody else can be saved. So stories, so many stories. Here we go. Are you ready? Let's do the next one. Okay. Starting right here. Everybody ready? 若有百千万亿众生，为求金银，琉璃砗磲，玛瑙珊瑚，琥珀珍珠等宝，如于大海，假使黑风，吹起川舫，飘渡罗刹鬼国。其中若有，乃至一人，称观世音菩萨名者，是诸人等，皆得解脱。罗刹之难，以施因缘，名观世音。Okay, oh my goodness. drama. Okay, I'll give you a line, you give it back. Hundreds of thousands of myriads of millions of men go to sea in search of gold, silver, lapis lazuli, moonstones, carnelian, coral amber, pearls, and other precious treasures. May run afoul of violent squalls that blow their ships to the lands of Rakshasas. But if one man among them calls the name of Guanshuyin Bodhisattva, then the entire group will all be saved from the throes of the Rakshasas. Okay, we need one more line here. Just a second. Wait. Here we go. 以诗引缘，名观世音. For this reason, she is called the enlightened one who listens to the sounds of all the world. Alrighty. Now, you all, some of you know, not every one of you knows, that on Saturday mornings here in Australia, that was yesterday morning, it's Friday afternoon in California, but we're changing the time. It's going to be Saturday noon here in Australia soon. I lecture on another text, and that other text is called, let me show you what it looks like. It's called the, let's see, I'm going to start over. I do that, but I also do another one. I do a lecture on, today is Sunday here in Australia. Sunday afternoons, I do a lecture that's beamed to the city of 10,000 Buddhas for Saturday night. It's supposed to be the Sunday night. The Sunday night lecture at CTDB. I used to do that week after week after week, year after year after year. I went from Berkeley to Wanfo-Chang, which is 110 miles, every Sunday for possibly 15 years, without fail, right? Always went. And, oops, did I lose Zoom? Nope, still there, okay. I really enjoyed the opportunity to do that. And even though I'm physically here in Australia, the opportunity came up again after COVID to do that lecture on Zoom. So now I'm back doing the Sunday night lecture at CTDB. It's Monday noon. Today is Monday. It's Monday 12:30 here in Australia. Soon, next week, it's going to be 1:30 because why? America goes through daylight savings, ends, spring ahead, fall behind. So I'll be doing it from 1:30 to 3. It's a 90-minute lecture. I am lecturing on the Avatamsaka Sutra, the Huayan Jing, the Shi Hui Xiang Pin, the 10 transferences chapter. But the last 15 minutes of that 90 minutes, I explain a second text. And you know what text it is? It's the biography of Xuanzang Dashi, Master Xuanzang, the great Chinese monk hero. He's a world-class figure. What a hero. And his biography reads just like an adventure novel. In fact, how many of you know the Monkey King? 你们都知道孙悟空吗? Who is the Monkey King? It's not Xuanzang. Sorry, wrong. No, he is. Okay, so there's a real Buddhist monk. His name is Xuanzang Bashi. He's a real monk. He really lived in the beginning of the Tang Dynasty. But in the Ming Dynasty, there was a novelist who novel writing in the Ming Dynasty was considered a low-class occupation, so he hid it. He wrote it anonymously. He didn't put his name on it. His name was Wu Cheng'en. He was in the 1500s. And he wrote the book called what? 西游记. 西游记. And people go, yeah, we know. 唐三藏啊, 猪八戒啊, 沙僧啊, 孙悟空啊, 我们都知道了。你们不知道。有这么一个法师，真的一个法师。There was a real Buddhist monk. His name was Xuanzang. The novelist in the Ming Dynasty turned him into a fiction character and wrote about him in a 小说, in a novel called Journey to the West. And that went around the world. The Monkey King and the Pigsy, the big fat disciple, and the good-for-nothing monk who's always getting in trouble and being rescued by the Monkey King. People get very confused and they say, wait a minute, you mean there was a real monk? But no, he's just that, they call him Tripitaka, right? Sanzang Hozhang. That's a fictional character. That's a novel that was popularized from the real monk. So the real monk has a biography. We look into it every week. And the stories are just incredible. What did we just hear? We just heard, about the merchants. 百千万亿众生为求金银琉璃出具玛瑙珊瑚琥珀珍珠等宝入狱大海. So we heard about the hundreds of thousands of myriads of millions of men and women who go out in a caravan to get rich. They are business people on a journey to make money. It's a trade mission, right? That's exactly what it is, a trade mission. They go out on their ships to sell things. They hope to run into treasures under the ocean. But unfortunately, what happens? Winds blow them into demonic lands. What is a Rakshasa? You don't want to know. Rakshasas, Lochagwe, they're so scary that they become video game villains. Rakshasas have now become popular in video games. The Japanese anime have lots of Rakshasas. They're really scary Rakshasas. And anyway, so in the Pumunpin, the Buddha talks about them as if what? As if they're real. You know why? Because they're real. They really do. The ocean is vast. Most of our planet is saltwater. And there are places where your ship goes there, you're in big trouble. You're never heard from again. This stuff really happens. So, the Buddha says, if that should happen to you, 我有办法. There's something you can do. Just recite the name of Guanyin Bodhisattva. It'll work out. Only one person can save the whole expedition. The entire group will be saved. Now, what about Master Xuanzang's biography? Let me show you. Here it is. And last week, we got it right here. Here's the story. It's not exactly the same. It's pretty close. Let me show you. Now, in order to understand the Chinese, you have to read classical Chinese. This is really profound Chinese. But we're in chapter 2 of his biography. Here's the name of it. 大唐大慈恩师三藏法师传 他叫玄奘法师 from great flourishing kindness monastery in the Tang dynasty, the Tripitaka, Master Tripitaka. Here's where he's going to a place called Qi Ni Guo, Agni, the country of Agni. Where is it? It's in Xinjiang. If you know where Xinjiang, right? You can visualize where that is. I'll read this, and this is Wan, so you can practice your Chinese. I do too. Same. This is tough Chinese. 从此西行至阿七尼国阿富施泉，一个泉水的地方叫阿富施。泉在道南沙崖，崖高数丈，水自般而出。 相传云，就是说听说有这么一个传说哈，就有商旅数百，在土水尽，至此困乏，不知所为。他们没有水喝，他们什么都没有吃，没有水喝。有好几百个商人，就是说做买卖的，啊，就那个时候，众中有一僧，有一个法师跟着他们，啊，布果行资，依众起活，法师就受他们的供养，才吃饭啊，就像一个法师。众议曰：是僧是佛，是故我早供养，虽涉万里，无所及兮。他是寄生虫，尽我等傲然，竟不忧念，以供百之。他们就说，以后我们问问他，他愿不愿意继续受，因为我们也没有了，他们会供养他，他们有这种的心法的思想。OK， 僧曰，那个法师就说，OK， 好，汝等欲得水者，一个礼佛，受三皈五戒，我为汝等登崖作水。他说，奇怪，法师有什么办法拿水？ All you English speakers, be right with you. Hold on. 众既围困，先从其名，他们就皈依了。他就说 ：“OK， 你要你喝水吗？你就要皈依了。”他们OK， 不愿意啊。受戒器，僧教曰：“吾上崖后，我上去了。汝等当唤阿夫师为我下水。”人须多，少言之。OK， 起去，少时上去，他们听不到声音。众人如叫而情，须于水下重组。大众无不欢贺，世境不来，他没有下来。众人上观，以即灭矣。法师如涅槃，他们上去看看。法师在那儿，走了。喜生喂他们的水，大笑悲号。哎呦，如果我们知道他是罗汉，我们应该上他定里，糟糕了。喝多点水。依西域去分之法，而西域法分之，与坐处，具砖石为塔，塔。今有在，玄奘大师今年看到了，然后记载，他写笔记水亦不绝，他还是这样，西行往来，众多位就是随众多少，下有西出，若无人师，尽业而已。Look at this story, incredible story, and think about Pumanpin. So here are in the Pumanpin, we have the merchants who are out in the water looking to get rich, and the wind blows them into the demon's land. And what do? One person recites the name, Namo Guanyin Bodhisattva, and they all get saved. Okay. So, Master Xuanzang, Tang Dynasty monk, traveling on his way to India. He gets to Xinjiang. He's not even out of China yet. They reached this place in the country called Agni, which is the northern part of Xinjiang. It's called the Teacher's Fountain. The fountain was on a sandy rock on the south side of the road. It was way tall, 20 feet tall, and water was coming down out of the rock. Tradition had it. Now this is Master Xuanzang heard the legend and he wrote it down. There was once a group of several hundred merchants, just like the Pumanpin, exhausted their water on the way. They were out of water, nothing to drink. They were in sore straits. When they reached this spot, nothing to drink. Traveling with them was a Buddhist monk who, of course, having no money, had lived upon their offerings. He was, from their point of view now, a parasite. The merchants talked about it, grumbling. Right? They're telling me no more water, no more food. This is a Buddhist disciple. We've supported him, and he can come 10,000 miles without any expenses. He gets a free ride. Now we're suffering. No more. Cut him off. That was what they were going to say. The monk says, oh, no problem. No problem. No worries, you mob. If you want to get water, so bow to the Buddha. Take 3 refuges in the 5 precepts, he says. Interesting that he makes that condition, right? I'll climb up to the top of this here rock and get you some water. What do you say? And they're like, what do you mean take refuge? You know. So they grudgingly they do it. He said, okay, good. They had no choice. They were thirsty, so they took refuge. So they got the precepts. The monk said, I will climb up to the top of the rock and you all call out Namo Guan Shi Yin Pusa, or say, teacher, bring down some water for us, and you can have all the water you want, right? Very cool, right? So what happens? The monk climbs the rock. The merchants waited till he gets up there, and they go, teacher, send down the water. The water all came down. They were happy. Their lives were saved. But no monk. What happened to the monk? So they climbed up after him. He was sitting in full lotus. He entered nirvana. He was dead. He gave up his life, turned himself into a fountain for them. And to this day, all the people, young and old, well, of course, they were bowing. Oh, we lost our chance to bow to a real arhat. And they built a stupa, and the stupa was still there 200 years later when Master Xuanzang arrived. And he wrote it down in his journal. The water was still flowing. No matter how many people arrive, that's how much water comes. So if there was nobody, it dried up. Interesting, huh? So this is Master Xuanzang's biography that we read every week after the sutra lecture. So how cool is that, right? Wonderful stories. These are truer than true. This is a real monk who really wrote a journal, a travel log, and we know what was going on. The Indians took this as their actual history during this period, because nobody else walked there who survived. Other monks tried and died of hunger, of thirst, of ghosts, of demons, of bandits. He survived. So, as it says, 以师隐远，敏观世音. For this reason, she is called the enlightened one who listens to the sounds of the world. Okay. Let's see here. One more. Okay. Ready? Here we go. 若复有人领当被害，成观世音菩萨名者，彼所知道障，寻断断坏，而得解脱。If someone facing deadly harm recites Guan Shi Yin Bodhisattva's name, the weapons of the assailants will break apart, and he will get away. All right. Now, for this one, I didn't share my screen. Sam, you didn't shout at me. You got tired of it, I know. It's like too much, Fasher. Okay. So, I want to share with you. I keep forgetting to do that, huh? We have a Guan Yin Bodhisattva songbook here. This is a story that you probably won't hear anywhere else unless you read a book called Highway Dharma Letters, which I happen to write. Here's a story from Lincoln Heights, 1977. Dear Shifu, this is wrote to Master Shenhua. The next day at 10 a.m., I had the sudden awareness that somewhere the demon armies were working up another test for us, a challenge that would appear before long. Friday morning, as we neared the end of Lincoln Heights, at 10:15, I sensed something up ahead, but I had taken my glasses off, and everything goes blurry when I take my glasses off, so I couldn't see very well. I glued my eyes to my nose for the rest of the day, so I would bow like this, not looking left, not looking right, not looking up, not, just bowing, paying attention. So I didn't see the details on the road ahead, but the monk behind me, Heng Chao, told me later what he saw. At the corner, now this is downtown Los Angeles, 这是洛杉矶的市中心, the CBD, right? Central Business District of LA. A gang of 5 older men gathered at a taco stand on the corner. Lincoln Heights is a Hispanic and black ghetto. They're standing at the intersection at a taco stand. One of them, now I was not thinking compassionately, I was thinking with fear. I called him a demon, that was my fear. One of them was a real demon, ugly, with a misshapen body, pear-shaped. He had a pointy head and a big middle. He was jumping up and down, pointing at us, and in his hand, he carried a 5-foot, sharpened, twisted metal whip. You know how big oil drums that are sometimes used as garbage cans in public have binding? There's a ring of, like a loop of metal that they use to tighten down the can and bind it. He had pulled it off and sharpened it, and he was like that, swinging it around. Twisted metal whip. He moved a trash can right in front of where I was bowing, and he began to beat it with his whip. Bong, bong, like that, making a great noise, and every time he hit it, the can went, this is an oil drum. All the time pointing at us and trying to get his friends to get as excited as he was. Heng Chao reported that this was a genuine big league baddie. He was not going to listen to words. He was not interested in us talking to him at all. And it was one of those moments, you could feel the tension in the street. The cars, everybody was watching, and because here, 2 Buddhist monks bowing on the sidewalk, that's weird to begin with. But when you have somebody who's pounding an oil drum with a metal whip, it's like, something's going to happen here. So as I was bowing along, I didn't see this. I couldn't pick out, I wasn't paying attention to what was ahead of me. But I had a feeling at the moment of something very powerful and kind, almost as if it were holding me in a hand. There was a sense of well-being in my heart, and just, this is going to be fine. So I just happily bowed, and I didn't see anything to be afraid of, so I just happily bowed. It was a wonderfully good, powerful presence, and I had a sense of calmness and light. And Heng Chao said that as I bowed right into the middle of these 5 guys at the taco stand, the leader, the guy with the whip in his hand, just like a light, you just turn off the light. He just went out. And he kind of got quiet, and his eyes widened, and he grew very 老老实实, just like a child, kind of, like that. The others, sitting at the tables at the taco stand, just sat there, kind of watching us bow. I bowed around the garbage can, under their feet, right under the tables, and walked across the street at the green light to bow on the other side. And right at that point, a very clean-looking young man stepped out of the doorway and said, "Would you tell me about your religion? I'm very impressed by this practice that you're doing." And Heng Chao told him briefly what the trip was for. I can't say for certain that was Guanyin Bodhisattva, but I really felt that somebody special was leading us through the streets of Los Angeles. There was some sort of response that morning. So when the Pumanpin says that Guanyin Bodhisattva will, if it just takes one person to recite the name of Guanyin Bodhisattva, and people will be rescued from danger. I have, was at Guanyin that day? I can't guarantee, but it sure felt like there was some kindness involved. And nobody got, the bad guys, the ones who were trying to get to be violent, weren't able to be violent. Nobody was punched or kicked, or nobody was harmed. But sometimes if you think, we ask Guanyin Bodhisattva for help, did she come? Sometimes it's not that Guanyin shows up, it's that nothing happens. That's the presence of Guanyin. It's in the absence of something that you recognize, thank you, Guanyin Bodhisattva. All right, we have in our yellow books, don't need to get them out, this is our English language Guanyin praise. The Chinese Guanyin praise, everybody knows, you go, Guanyin Pusa Miao Nan Tong, right? So we have a really good English version of that goes like this. It's in the yellow books, nobody ever sings it, but it's a great song. This one, we believe that David Rounds wrote the melody. Anybody knows it? Sing along. Isn't that a nice English language version of Guanyin Bodhisattva's praise? We really like that one and wish people would sing it more often. We have a whole, we have, I think, 11 Guanyin Bodhisattva songs that are as good that you haven't heard before. Everybody's heard She Carries Me. You like that one, right? She carries me. That's the best one. But the other ones are equally good. She who hears the voices of the world hears my voice. Namo Guanyin Bodhisattva. That melody is from the 13th century. That's an ancient melody. There's a blues song adapted from a hymn. The hymn goes, Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. That's an American gospel song. We go, Guanyin Bodhisattva, call her name out loud. Guanyin Bodhisattva, call her name out loud. Guanyin Bodhisattva, call her name out loud. When you need her, call her name out loud. Right? It's a blues song. It really works. Then we have, oh, tell me your trouble, said Guanyin Bodhisattva. The water will drown me, said all living beings. Recite my name truly, said Guanyin Bodhisattva. The waters will dry up and you will not drown. Right? That one has a great conclusion. It goes, what does it mean to recite my name truly? It means to recite with no wish to succeed, no fear of failure, no self and no others, but a heart of compassion for all living beings. We have a African-American work song. I'll spare you that one. And then we've got a Native American song from Joanne Shenandoah that's just heartbreaking when you get it right. Then we have I'll Never Stop Reciting, a Christian hymn, et cetera, et cetera. So many, and we're going to be sharing these this week. All right, the time has come, we're done. So you heard an interesting story, true stories for each of the 7 difficulties that Guanyin saves us from. We've only done 4, but we've had some good stories for each one. So now's the time for us to do our part by dedicating merit out into the world. Please make a wish. This is your part. You really do dedicate merit. You really do make that wish. Here we go. And we will bow to the Buddhas. Well, we're done. People, last night everybody wanted to stand up. So if you want to stand up and bow, or you can bow from where you're sitting also. 你们在座位上问心也可以，起立也可以。Okay, here we go. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Okay, that'll do it for us for tonight. See you tomorrow. Everybody get plenty of sleep so you can recite tomorrow.